Hey.
Just again, it's all going glazing. You were mine, it made me love it and begin again. It made me love it and begin again. You made me love it and begin again.
Hello, sinners. My name is Alice San, and welcome to Alice's Shelf, the Bloody Chamber. Today, we'll be talking about Angela Carter's take on the Earl King. And if you have not watched the previous video about the history of the Earl King, click on the button. It's gonna be on one of these sides. I never know which one, just figure it out. So let's do this. Trigger warning, we are going to talk about abuse in this episode. One of the first interesting things we have in Angela Carter's tale is the personification of the woods. Personification is when you give human qualities to something that's not human. In this case, the woods. And they swallow everything that walks into them. So swallowing something human, you get the point. And then, girl, we have a very interesting quote because she compares girls to the Little Red Riding Hood. And if you have not watched the video on Company of the Wolves, click somewhere here so you can know what I'm talking about. And she compares this general girl to Little Red Riding Hood going to her granny's house because Red Riding Hood's supposed to be safe. However, these woods are not safe as the girls get lost in their own illusion because in the woods, everything is as it seems to be. Okay, let's get the point. Angela Carter is always creating this ambiguous place, and that's ironic because she's talking about no ambiguities happening here. Bitch. But reality for humans, especially for women, exists in this ambiguous place of maleness and bestiality. So when she says that in the woods, everything is as it seems, we can think about how natural it is. Because it's us, it's human beings who are pretending to be something that we're not, said the drag queen. So in the woods, everything's real, and that's desperating to human beings. So that's our first take. And then we hear a bird sing, and the girl says that it is as if her girlness had turned into sound, into nature. And that's really important, the comparison between the girl and the bird. You get why, follow mama. So she walks into a clearing in which the inhabitants had been expecting her since the first time she stepped into the woods. So think of this as a reference to the first time a female being is born. They are already expecting her in the woods. So we get our first image of the Earl King. And he's the manifestation of the woods. She says that it's as if he had come to life out of the desire of the woods. And she also says that his eyes are too green, perhaps from too much staring at the woods. And there are some eyes that can eat you. So we have our character, our Earl King, as this personification of the woods. He's a being that his beard is made of grass and leaves, and his fingers are twigs. So he's a manifestation of the wood. So we have this male figure being created as a manifestation of the world it inhabits in. And he tells us that the owl used to be the daughter of a baker. So we already get it. Oh, the animals around here, they were little girls. That's why everything was expecting her. That's what this male figure does. He gets the girls into the woods, he lures them, as we know from the original story, and then he turns them into animals. My notebook almost fell. And he is the caretaker of the woods. So we start to think, is he a bad person? Is he evil? Because he's taking care of everything. He's taking care of the world. And he's a great housewife. I love that image because not only does it work with the expectations for women to take care of the world, but it says like, hey, men are taking care of the world they created, and we're the animals around it. We're entrapped here. and there is a fiddle by the door. However, you can't get a single note from the fiddle, for all of its strings are broken. A fiddle, is that natural? That's human. So nothing in the woods work as human creations. The birds sing, they're natural. The owls there. The fiddle doesn't work. And then the girl says that she goes to the bed made of straws, where she lies at the mercy of his huge hands, as he is the tender butcher. Let's look at this juxtaposition here. Juxtaposition is when we have two contrasting images connected to one another. And now we have two contrasting words. He's a tender butcher. So it's that image of the thing that's so sweet, it looks so good, it looks so nice, still a butcher. And he teaches her that flesh is the price of love. Skin the rabbit, off come all my clothes. So it's this idea that in order for him to love her, she must give him her flesh. When we think about stories of abuse, that's really normal, isn't it? That I will love you, but in order for you to get my love, you should give me your flesh. And it's so seducing, and it feels so good. Would've, could've, should've, Taylor Swift. And the Earl King is so powerful that he controls even the air. With a movement from his handkerchief, he can control the air around, so he's all powerful. Is this a godly image? And did God create man to his image? Or did man create God to his image? And when talking about her nipples, she says that she has nipples ripe as berries. So look at the connection between humanity, specifically womanhood, and nature. Yet again, here we are, Angela Carter. And she says that his body takes over her entire nakedness. Remember that nakedness is a natural thing which we run from, the tiger's bride. And she says that his body, his maleness, covers her entire nakedness, so it destroys her naturality, just like water. And his touch consoles her and devastates her all at once. So it's yet again the place of women in which they fit into this human world, but yet they are devoid of their own existence because of the parameters that men create. And then, oh God, she says something that is, more birds come to him during the cold weather. Let's talk about symbols. If we think about the cold weather, we think about winter. What feelings does winter bring to us? Because it's cold, it's lonely. When we talk about the winter of our lives, we're talking about bad moments, you know. So she's talking about this guy who lures young girls to his house, and he takes full control of them, and they're forever trapped there. And that happens more often in the winter. So we have a beautiful image that talks about how when women are going through bad things, they are more vulnerable to the harms that a patriarchal society can cause them. And then we have another reference to the Little Red Riding Hood. She says, "What big eyes you have." And then she says that the eyes are as luminescent as of a lycanthrope, a wolf. And as we know, the wolf in the Little Red Riding Hood is this man that will take the body of the girl. You do the math. And then she says that in his eyes, she could be diminished to nothingness and become another bird. And she doesn't want that. But then again, he treats his birds so fondly. So she might become just another girl he abused of, and they're all trapped there. But he did it so fondly that it becomes this paradoxical image. And she comes to the realization that now she knows that the birds don't sing, they only cry because they can't find a way out of the woods. So, what seemed beautiful actually became something that entraps them. Um, so, if we think of the situations of abuse that derive from people who are usually nice and sweet and loving and whatnot, and then they're forever trapped there. And she says that the robin sings in spite of the hole in his chest derived from when the Earl King ripped it off to remove his heart. It's all adding to the image of destruction derived from abuse of someone that seemed kind. And then she says that he will lie on her lap and she will remove two strings of his hair, make a rope, and hang him. And that after that, she will release all the birds and they will be able to leave the woods. So we have this image of justice being made, of uh, when an abuser is taken to justice by someone, like there's a relief to everyone who was abused by him. And she says she will also fix the fiddle, who will play by itself and sing, "Mother, mother, you have murdered me." So the fiddle is taking the voice of the Earl King, right? And we have just talked about how it is the human image of the narrative. So we can see how this Earl King was only pretending to be natural. The natural aspects were the women were the birds, and the fiddle cries for the death of humanity. So it's an idea of how embracing the female naturality that goes against a room of one's own, what's prescribed by a male culture, we can break the disguise that these men who pretend to be like, oh, I'm a feminist, oh, I'm all there, like, no conservative thoughts, break down the patriarchy. And it's just an image. They look as if they're made of wood, but then they cry through the fiddle. This is a big metaphorical story, and it's a little more specific than Angela Cutter's other short stories because it talks about this abuse, although, yes, it is connected to patriarchy and gender roles. It's much more specific, maybe more hurtful because of that. But it's a beautiful story, and it's amazing to see how she changes the original Earl King narrative, and she uses its images and its luring to analyze a patriarchal society. Life's a sin.